Let's look at the last 8 years. Netanyahu in power in Israel, Obama in power in the United States, and what's happened all this time? What's Obama done about it? $38 billion, that's what he gave Israel. And that wasn't his own money, that was American taxpayer money, obviously. This is more money than any country has ever given any other country in the history of the world. But probably even more significant than the financial contributions he made were the political contributions. Now, okay, historically, every single US president, going back decades, has, when the United Nations criticizes Israel for whatever actions it's taking, because the United States has a permanent seat on the UN Security Council, it can effectively veto any resolution, and it often does veto resolutions critical of Israel. Now, despite this fact that the US has given Israel diplomatic cover for decades, still every single US president has at some point allowed some resolutions critical of Israel to pass in the UN Security Council. So from Johnson, Nixon, Ford, Carter, all along, everyone has allowed some resolutions to pass. Only Obama, up to the very end of his presidency, allowed 0 resolutions critical of Israel to pass in the UN Security Council. So, all this money, all this diplomatic cover, you would think at this rate that Netanyahu would erect a statue of Obama in the middle of Tel Aviv, thanking him for being the most Zionist president of all time. I mean, that's clearly what he would have deserved from an Israeli perspective. But instead, when Obama comes to Israel, instead of a statue of him, what greets him there is this: posters proclaiming, with Obama in a Palestinian keffiyeh, a headdress, and proclaiming that he is an anti-Semite. He hates Jews. This is what awaits him on the streets of Israel when he arrives. And, okay, sure enough, anyone can put up a poster. Anyone can go down to the print shop and put up a poster. The question is not necessarily what people on the street are doing, but in the halls of power. Well, in the halls of power, you have Ran Baratz, the chief of staff of Netanyahu at that time, and he says that Obama's response to Netanyahu's speech, this is what modern anti-Semitism looks like, if you can imagine this. Now, that's in the political sphere. Let's go into the cultural sphere. All right, in the music scene. So here you have a popular singer, Mordechai Ben David. He's up on stage after Obama is, he's still in office, but Trump's already been elected. So it's just those few weeks in between the two. And he says at a concert with thousands of people in the audience, in a few weeks, there will be a new president in the USA, and the N-word goes home. After he says this to a crowd of thousands of people in Jerusalem, who joins him up on stage? Well, you can see him up on the Jumbotron. I'll zoom in so you can have a better look. None other than Nir Barkat, the mayor of Jerusalem. And he didn't say a single word in response. But, I really shouldn't be shocked. Nir Barkat, he likes to pal around with others who aren't so fond of Obama, like this man over here. This is a publicity photo. He's another musician, or former musician. Now he's more of a blogger, but at that time he was, rocking stages. This is a popular hip-hop artist, goes by the name of The Shadow, and he's now actually joined the Likud party. Just as Nir Barkat, mayor of Jerusalem, has joined Netanyahu's Likud party, so has The Shadow. And after, what does he have to say about Obama? The Shadow, if you can imagine this, he goes onto Facebook, where he's got hundreds of thousands of Facebook followers, and he goes onto Facebook and he posts this image. Again, Obama in a keffiyeh, holding a knife, about to stab an Israeli soldier who is standing there in prayer, okay, with a kippah, with a skull cap and phylacteries. This is the kind of anti-Obama messaging that we see from affiliates of Israel's ruling Likud party. And again, that's like hip-hop, and we go to the pop music, and we see that another quite popular singer, who not only is popular amongst the people, but also amongst the politicians. After the last election, he went up on stage with Netanyahu, sang the national anthem as they celebrated their election victory. He even does private parties for the ruling Likud party, and obviously is very close to Netanyahu himself. And we see that Amir Benayoun, he goes as far as to actually write a song about Obama, if you can imagine this. And the song he writes about Obama, these are the lyrics. I bought a crow, Obama. I named him after the president. I wish for the death of the creature. This is the kind of conversations we have about Barack Obama. Now, again, moving from that sphere, from the cultural sphere to the religious sphere, we see this man receiving a standing ovation in the Knesset, receiving the Jerusalem Prize, no less, one of the most coveted prizes in the country. And we see that he's being gifted this prize by, once again, Nir Barkat, the mayor of Jerusalem, no less. So Israel Ariel is the name of this rabbi. If you can imagine this, he's not only a rabbi who receives large sums of money from the Israeli government to educate Israeli youth, he also fancies himself a jurist of sorts. Him and a group of rabbis, they founded essentially a kangaroo court, if you can imagine this, the Sanhedrin, and they decided to try Barack Obama in absentia for crimes against humanity, I guess, or crimes against the Jewish people. And so they hold this kangaroo court, and they charge Barack Obama, and Israel Ariel says to the crowd, if someone threatens you to ruin you, to kill you, you kill him first. If we have the might, you have to kill him if you catch Obama on the street. This is the kind of discourse we hear, not just from random people who don't have any significance, but people whose opinions matter. Why all this hate for Obama? No matter how much money he gives, no matter how much political support, just because he voices support for the idea of Jews and Arabs, Israelis and Palestinians living in peace and coming up with some kind of compromise. This is the invective hurled at him.